I'm pretty sure you've already seen the thumbnail and the title of this video, and I'm pretty sure you already know what I think of this incredible show that has to be probably one of the best things to come from Marvel since possibly No Way Home. And yes, we are talking about Loki Season 2, which I have to say is absolutely amazing, and I have no doubts in my mind that this will go down as probably one of the best series on Disney+. Now, before we get started, I have two things that I need to address. The first is the noise you are hearing in the background. That noise in the background has to do with a future video that we are working on here on the Movie Savant. Now, the second thing is that this specific video will be covering some spoilers, so please be advised we have spoilers in this video. So if you haven't watched Season 2 of Loki, go watch Season 2 of Loki, then come back, and then we'll compare notes. You know, we'll discuss if our ideas and how we think about this series is the same. But if you have watched Loki, please feel free to watch towards the end of the video. The whole video is yours. So let's start off the bat by saying that a story isn't complete without the most important arc that it is trying to set up. Now, in Season 1 of Loki, we understand that Loki finds his quote-unquote other half, in Sylvie. And Sylvie is this, variant of Loki who has the same powers, knows, a lot of things based on the family, but ultimately they had very different lives. One did not have a family that kind of, nourished her into health, and Loki, on the other hand, had all those benefits, having been taken, from the Frost Giants early on, and then becoming later, sort of like an adopted son to Odin. So in a way, he kind of had a family growing up. So it's kind of, Season 1 is kind of like Loki trying to console Sylvie into, becoming a little bit of a better person. And, towards the end of Season 1, we start to see that, she just wants to take revenge on the TVA for ruining her life, for taking away the most precious things about her. And, having killed He Who Remains at the end of Season 1, we start to see the consequences of those things happen. And then, that directly connects into Season 2. Like, Season 2 begins right after the events of Season 1, which I think is a brilliant concept, because we're used to, Marvel kind of like hopping around, like going from one thing to another and then to another, but ultimately keeping within the flow of time within its Marvel universe. And that's a great thing. That is something that, Marvel has been desperately needing now more than ever, because we see, like, She-Hulk, and then we see Moon Knight, and then Eternals, not in that order, obviously, but we see all these properties going along, and we have no idea why they're so scattered, But then we have Season 2 of Loki, which tells an incredibly well thought out story from beginning to end, and it gives us the arc that we've been needing in order to set up something greater, which not a lot of these movies or TV series that, Disney has been putting out have been successful in doing. You watch something like Secret Invasion and it doesn't feel the same. Loki Season 2 feels amazing. It feels amazing. It looks amazing. And I will get into the whole topic of why it looks amazing, but it looks amazing, and it just fits with what we've been needing more than ever in the MCU. We finally see Loki become a better version of himself. We see in Season 1 Loki, kind of shocked into seeing his entire life sort of flash before his eyes in a way, and that kind of like forces him to be a better person in the first season. But ultimately in Season 2 we start to see that solidify, that set in. Like, you know, he doesn't want to be the god of mischief anymore. He doesn't want to be this sort of like, oh, I want to rule the earth and everything. Like, he doesn't want any of that. He just put that on a back seat and said, you know what? Let's focus on, you know, saving these people. Let me have my friends. You know, he just wants friends. And in this series, in a way, he loses his friends, and then he has to kind of like bring them back and fight to bring him back. You know, bring all these different people who he loves back from, you know, turning into actual spaghetti. And I think that's the connective tissue of season 2. It is, you know, understanding that, you know, if you want to save these people, it will take a certain level of sacrifice. And it just feels nuanced, you know, in a way. It feels like it has weight. You know, none of the projects we've been seeing recently from Marvel has had a certain level of weight to it. And this feels like it has weight. Like it's setting us up for something greater. You know, when Thanos was around, everything was setting up towards Thanos. This is setting us up for Kang. And let's just say, Jonathan Majors pretty much owned this season in an incredible way. Now, I won't speak to the, you know, stuff that has been happening on the outside of Marvel, you know, based on Jonathan Majors' stuff that's been happening, but I will be focusing on specifically his acting in this series, which has been nothing but stellar. He has been doing an incredible job this season, showing off his acting prowess, being able to, you know, be super versatile, and, you know, seeing how he can change himself in ways. You know, I see him in season 1, at the end of season 1, and I just think, okay, great. He's just, you know, being superfluous, he's being too over the top, you know, it didn't really sit with me well. Season 2, on the other hand, I can officially solidify that he is Kang. This is the man. You know, not even Quantumania was able to set him up as well as this. You know, definitive Kang is yet to come. I know that for a fact. We've already seen the Council of Kangs, all the crazy variants of Kangs. We've seen that. But this show set him up really well. It gave us weight. It showed us different aspects of who he is. And ultimately, we kind of feel like, yeah, Kang is probably gonna poop his pants, if you know what I'm saying. And I can't talk about this series without mentioning Ki Kwan, who plays Obi in this season. He is fantastic, fantastic. He plays the character really well. There's incredible chemistry between the characters. There's a good amount of dialogue. He does the work, and he puts in the work for this character, and he nails it. I never knew that this character was a thing in the comics, and I'm pretty sure there is some sort of connections in the comics there to OB, but man, does he nail this character. This character is absolutely, without a doubt, amazing, and I'll definitely be seeing some people cosplaying as him in the future, in future cons. Now, unlike last season, Sophia DiMartino in this season has less of a big role to play in this season. In the first season, she had a much bigger role, and she kind of interacted more with Loki. In this season, we focus more on Loki's story, and we get to focus a little bit more on Mobius as well, and the conflicts he has within himself. But ultimately, we are focusing on Loki this season and making sure that everything runs smoothly. Now, we're used to the MacGuffins that the shows put in front of us, and in this case, they put a very interesting MacGuffin, which is sort of the fact that he has to expand the rings of time. Now, the only way that he can effectively expand the rings of time is that he needs to put a throughput multiplier, which is nothing more than just a thing that looks like, I don't know, a syringe or something, and attach that to, you know, the control panel. Let me tell you something. All of these little things are nothing more than distractions, because the actual thing that this show completely changes about Loki is the fact that now Loki can time travel. Or should I say time slip, in a way. And time slipping allows Loki to travel back to points in time, or travel forward to points in time, and be able to change outcomes, rewrite moments, and make sure that something good can happen or something bad can happen. And that alone makes Loki a whole lot more powerful than Kang. And I can tell you why. Because this will set us up in the future. Now, a lot of people would disagree, say that this does not make Loki the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe. But I'll raise you a specific card. What if Loki can go back and save Captain America? What if he can go back and save Tony Stark? Mostly Tony Stark, obviously. Or Black Widow. What if he could change the entire structure of the MCU from a simple snap? That is the kind of power that Loki now possesses. He can bring other people from other timelines into this new built timeline that has him wrapped around. And the thing is, now the multiverse starts to make a whole lot more sense. And the reason why that is because now Loki, knowing how to time slip, knowing how to go back in time, learn different aspects of time, learn different aspects of himself and moments in time, and being able to change those moments in order to change the outcome of, the new timeline, allows us as well to see Loki as a god. And that is why now we are introduced to what Marvel is calling God Loki, which is a Loki that has accepted this burden, this actual burden, not this like fake glorious purpose kind of thing. It's more of a impactful connection that he has now. He sees himself responsible enough to take care of time differently, and that is why he kind of, in a way, sacrifices himself to a throne that he didn't even ask to be a part of, in order to make sure that his friends are safe. And that is like the ultimate sacrifice. It puts Loki now in a place where he is more important to the MCU than most characters that are in the MCU, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But once you put things together, he is now the most important character in the MCU, which really is amazing. And he deserves that sort of arc, to be the worst of the worst and see himself become a better person in the end is mind-blowing. And I think that they wrote this entire arc in a beautiful way, and man, Marvel really hit it out of the park with Loki Season 2. Now, I have to address one of the bigger elephants in the room, which is the fact that they have said that there is no Season 3 to Loki. The fact that Tom Hiddleston himself has hinted that this is technically Loki's final thing in the MCU. He's hinted at that. And the fact that there was no calling for a Season 3 at the end of Season 2, like they did last season. At the end of Season 1, there was a nice little after credit like Loki will return in Season 2. There wasn't a Loki will return in Season 3. So, where do I see Loki fitting in the next couple of projects in the MCU? Well, we do have Deadpool coming up, where we know Mobius is going to be a part of that storyline. We're gonna see Mobius pop in and kind of make something happen. I mean, I'm not aware of what he's gonna do in that movie, but he's gonna be there. Mobius is gonna show up. And secondly, we also have the new Avengers movies. So we have Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Both movies are 100% able to bring Loki into, because they're going to have to recruit somebody who can take on Kang. And there's only one person that can take on Kang at this time, and that is Loki. Seeing how Loki has been able to handle this new power that he has is interesting. Really, really, really interesting, because he now controls time. He has constantly been in a back and forth with He Who Remains, and literally let out the fact that he has met up with He Who Remains several times and had a conversation several times with He Who Remains. We see, quote-unquote, He Who Remains, or Kang, very much afraid of this, because he has never met somebody who could outmatch him. So much so that he even puts out the flame at the very end, which kind of signifies that now he has met his official match. There has been nobody in past times that could, actually go up against him. So that alone also sets up what could be the future of the MCU with Loki in it. And I am almost certain, I'll give that a 90% certainty that Loki will return in future projects of the MCU, because we need the power that is God Loki. Now, apart from all the story aspects of this show, there's one specific thing that has blown me away from the very, very, very beginning of the show all the way up until the end, and is the cinematography of this series. It is absolutely on point. I'm talking about every minute detail in this show feels personal, it feels closer, the footage feels more lively, and it feels, it's hard to explain, but it just feels amazing how it looks. And I have to highlight someone in specific who made the look and feel of this series feel the way it did, and that is Isaac Bauman. Isaac Bauman, you are the man, my dude. You are the man. And I found it so cool to see you alone on that show. In that show, as a matter of fact. He's one of the guys who's inside the jet ski store, along with, Mobius's variant. That guy alone, this guy, Isaac Bauman, you are the man, dude, for making this series look the way it did. And I am so proud of this work. I just want to give you a freaking hug for giving us this incredible looking series. Now, having said everything that I have said about this series, more importantly than what I think of how amazing, how creative, how mind-blowingly good this season is, I want to know specifically from you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that this was probably one of the best things Marvel has put out since either No Way Home or WandaVision? Please let me know. I would love to have this discussion with you guys down below. And also, while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I'll see you in the next video.